Have you ever wondered why people seem to drift away as you get older? Maybe certain friends don't call as often, family members don't visit like they used to, or social invitations start to disappear. It can be frustrating, even painful, to feel like you're being left behind. But the truth is, there are real reasons this happens. And the good news is, many of them are within your control. In this video, we're going to explore 6 key reasons why people begin to leave you in old age. These aren't just random circumstances. They are behaviors, attitudes, and patterns that can push people away, often without you even realizing it. But once you understand them, you can make changes that not only strengthen your relationships, but help you keep meaningful connections for years to come. Make sure to watch until the very end, because some of these reasons may surprise you. More importantly, we'll talk about what you can do to avoid these pitfalls and maintain strong, lasting bonds with the people who matter most. If you've ever felt like people are slipping away from your life, stay with me. This just might change your perspective. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Neglecting personal growth. One of the biggest reasons people begin to distance themselves in old age is when someone stops growing mentally, emotionally, or socially. A person who continues to evolve, learn, and engage with the world remains interesting and relatable. But when a person stops seeking new experiences, resists learning, or refuses to adapt, they can become harder to connect with. The truth is, people are naturally drawn to those who stay engaged in life, no matter their age. Think about it. When you talk to someone who is curious, open-minded, and always learning something new, the conversation feels fresh and engaging. On the other hand, if someone only talks about the past, refuses to try anything different, or shuts down new ideas, those interactions start to feel repetitive, even draining. People may not leave all at once, but over time, they may start reaching out less and less. Growth isn't just about reading books or picking up new hobbies. It's about staying mentally active, asking questions, and showing interest in the world around you. When you stop doing that, the people around you notice. A person who remains open to new perspectives, willing to have discussions, and eager to learn, creates an energy that others want to be around. But someone who closes themselves off, that energy fades, and with it, so do certain relationships. Imagine 2 older men. One of them stays engaged. He asks about new technologies, watches interesting documentaries, discusses books, and enjoys learning from younger generations. The other shrugs off anything new, saying, "I don't understand all that stuff," or "Things were better in my day." Which one do you think people enjoy talking to? Which one do you think gets invited to more gatherings, gets more phone calls, and keeps more relationships alive? It's easy to fall into habits that feel comfortable, especially as we age. But staying engaged in life is a choice. You don't need to learn every new trend or master every piece of technology, but being open-minded, showing curiosity, and staying willing to grow will make a difference in how people respond to you. If you continue to evolve, people will want to keep you in their lives. If you stop growing, they may feel like they're moving forward while you're standing still. The good news? It's never too late to change. Whether it's trying a new skill, reading something outside of your comfort zone, or simply asking more questions in conversations, the effort to grow will keep you connected, because people are drawn to those who keep moving forward, not those who stay stuck in place. Number 2, becoming too negative or complaining. Often, nothing pushes people away faster than constant negativity. If you find yourself complaining frequently about your health, the younger generation, the government, or how things used to be better, you might be unknowingly driving people away. Nobody enjoys being around someone who always focuses on the worst in every situation. And while you may not see it as negativity, but rather as expressing your honest thoughts to others, it can feel exhausting. Think about how you feel when you spend time with someone who always seems to have something to criticize. Maybe it's a relative who constantly talks about their aches and pains, a friend who only brings up bad news, or someone who finds a reason to complain no matter the topic. Over time, those conversations become draining, and without realizing it, people start calling less, visiting less, and eventually drifting away. Now, this doesn't mean you should never talk about struggles. Everyone faces hardships, and sharing challenges with trusted people is important. The key difference is balance. If your conversations mostly revolve around frustrations, aches, regrets, or complaints, it can make even those who care about you hesitant to reach out. People naturally want to spend time with those who lift them up, who make them feel good, and who see the brighter side of life, even when things aren't perfect. This doesn't mean you need to force fake positivity, but shifting your mindset to focus on gratitude, curiosity, and even humor can make a huge difference in how others perceive you. When you choose to highlight good moments, ask others about their lives, and share stories that bring laughter instead of frustration, people feel lighter in your presence. And that is what makes them want to spend more time with you. Picture two older men at a family gathering. One spends the entire time complaining about his back, the traffic, and how nobody respects elders anymore. The other shares a funny story, asks how everyone is doing, and finds something positive to say about the event. Which one do you think people will want to sit next to? Which one do you think will get more invitations in the future? The answer is clear. Energy is contagious, and people gravitate toward those who bring light, not those who cast a shadow. So, if you've noticed people pulling away, take a moment to reflect on the energy you bring into conversations. Are you someone who adds warmth, curiosity, and connection? Or have you fallen into the habit of focusing only on what's wrong? A small shift in how you speak about life can make a huge difference in how others respond to you. And if you still bring positivity into the world, people will always want to be around you. Number 3, failing to nurture relationships. Relationships don't survive on their own. Friendships, family bonds, and social connections all require effort. One of the biggest reasons people start to drift away in old age is because they feel like their relationship has become one-sided. If you've fallen into the habit of expecting others to reach out first, to make plans, or to check in, you might be unknowingly pushing people away. Think about the relationships in your life. When was the last time you reached out first? When was the last time you called a friend just to see how they were doing, invited someone to spend time together, or sent a thoughtful message? Many people assume that if someone really cares, they'll always make the effort. But in reality, relationships fade when they are not nurtured. If people feel like they're always the ones making the effort, eventually, they stop. This isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing people that they matter to you. A simple text, a quick call, or an invitation to meet for coffee can make a huge difference. It lets people know you value their presence in your life. When someone only hears from you when you need something, or when they're the only one putting in the effort, over time, they may start to feel like the relationship isn't worth maintaining. Imagine two older men. One regularly checks in with friends and family, asks how they're doing, and takes an interest in their lives. The other rarely reaches out, only calling when he needs a favor or when he has something to complain about. Which one do you think people will want to stay connected with? The answer is obvious. People want to feel valued, not like they're being taken for granted. And here's something important. It's never too late to rebuild connections. If you realize you've been distant, start small. A short phone call, a kind message, or even just remembering small details about someone's life and bringing it up the next time you talk can show that you care. The key is consistency. You don't need to be in constant contact, but when people know you're thinking of them, they will want to stay in your life. So, if you've been wondering why certain people seem to be drifting away, take a moment to ask yourself, have I been making the effort, or have I been waiting for others to do all the work? The more you invest in your relationships, the more they will grow. And when people know they matter to you, they will always want to be a part of your life. Number 4, refusing to adapt to change. Life is constantly changing, and the people who stay connected, engaged, and socially active are often the ones who embrace that change rather than resist it. One of the biggest reasons people start to pull away in old age is when someone becomes too rigid, rejecting new ideas, resisting technology, or refusing to understand the way the world is evolving. When people feel like they can't have meaningful conversations with you because you dismiss their perspectives, they may slowly start to disappear from your life. Think about how different the world is today compared to 20 or 30 years ago. The way people communicate has changed, social norms have shifted, and technology is woven into everyday life. Younger generations rely on text messages, video calls, and social media to stay connected. Many older people struggle with these changes, not because they can't adapt, but because they choose not to. They say things like, I don't understand all that stuff, or, back in my day, things were better. While nostalgia is natural, shutting down new ways of thinking can make it harder for people to relate to you. And it's not just about technology. It's about being open to different perspectives. The way people view relationships, careers, and even everyday life is different now. If someone is always criticizing younger generations, dismissing new ideas, or refusing to acknowledge that times have changed, it creates a divide. People, especially family members and younger friends, may begin to feel like conversations with you are more of a debate than an exchange of ideas. And over time, that can lead to distance. Now, this doesn't mean you have to agree with everything or suddenly change who you are. It simply means staying curious, asking questions instead of shutting things down, and being willing to learn, even if it's just the basics of how younger people communicate. If you refuse to adapt, people may feel like they're speaking a different language around you, and eventually they might stop trying to connect at all. Imagine two older men with their grandchildren. One dismisses their interests, refuses to try new things, and constantly talks about how things used to be better. The other listens with curiosity, asks about their lives, and even tries to engage with the things they care about. Which one do you think the younger generation will naturally want to spend time with? Change can be difficult, but it's also inevitable. The people who remain socially connected into old age are the ones who stay flexible, open-minded, and willing to adapt. You don't have to master every new trend or agree with every new perspective. But when you show a willingness to understand, people will keep you in their lives. Number 5. Becoming overly dependent on others' relationships thrive when there is balance. But when one person consistently takes without giving back, whether emotionally, financially, or physically, it can create strain. As we age, it's natural to need help from time to time. But if you've become overly dependent on others without considering their needs, it may be pushing them away. People want to help those they care about, but when that help starts feeling like an obligation rather than a choice, they may begin to create distance. Think about the people in your life. Do you find yourself relying on them for things you used to handle on your own? Maybe it's asking for favors too often, expecting family to always take care of things, or leaning on others for emotional support without offering the same in return. While it's important to have loved ones to depend on, relationships should never feel one-sided. When people feel like they are constantly giving with little appreciation or effort from the other side, they may start to step back. And this doesn't just apply to physical or financial support, it applies to emotional energy as well. If every conversation revolves around your struggles, your frustrations, or your needs, without considering what the other person is going through, they may begin to pull away. People want to feel valued in a relationship, not just needed. Now, this doesn't mean you should never ask for help, but the key is to balance it with independence. Even small acts of self-sufficiency, handling what you can on your own, showing gratitude, and finding ways to give back, go a long way in maintaining strong relationships. People are far more willing to help those who also contribute, even in small ways. Imagine two older men. One constantly asks his family for help, but rarely expresses gratitude, never offers anything in return, and assumes they'll always be there. The other acknowledges the help he receives, makes an effort to do what he can, and finds ways to contribute, whether it's offering advice, sharing wisdom, or simply being emotionally supportive. Which one do you think people will continue to show up for? If you've noticed people distancing themselves, take a step back and ask yourself, am I giving as much as I take? Do I express appreciation for what others do? Do I make an effort to handle what I can on my own? Even small changes, like expressing gratitude, finding little ways to help others, or simply checking in on someone else's needs, can make a big difference in keeping people close. Because when people feel appreciated and valued, they will always want to be a part of your life. Number 6, holding on to resentment and failing to forgive. Few things push people away faster than unresolved resentment. As we get older, it's easy to accumulate disappointments, old conflicts, past betrayals, moments when we felt wronged. But when we hold on to those feelings and refuse to let go, it doesn't just hurt us, it pushes others away. People don't want to be around someone who carries grudges, constantly brings up old wounds, or refuses to forgive. Over time, that kind of energy makes relationships feel heavy, and eventually, people may choose to walk away rather than keep carrying that weight. Think about your own relationships. Are there people you've distanced yourself from because you felt they wronged you? Do you find yourself replaying old arguments, feeling bitterness toward family members or old friends who made mistakes? It's natural to feel hurt, but when that hurt turns into a permanent wall between you and others, it becomes a problem. Sometimes people don't even realize why you've pulled away, and in other cases, they do realize. But they stop trying to fix things because they sense that no matter what they do, you won't let it go. And here's the truth. Holding on to resentment doesn't punish the other person. It punishes you. It keeps you trapped in the past while everyone else moves forward. And when people sense that every conversation with you might turn into a reminder of old grievances, they may stop reaching out altogether. Nobody wants to be constantly reminded of their past mistakes. And when they feel like they'll never be fully forgiven, they may choose to step back instead. Imagine two older men with their families. One has learned to let go of small conflicts, choosing to focus on the present and the time he has with his loved ones. The other still holds on to arguments from years ago, bringing them up in conversations and making sure everyone knows he hasn't forgotten. Which one do you think people will want to spend time with? Forgiveness isn't about pretending things never happened. It's about freeing yourself from carrying them around. It's about choosing peace over resentment, about valuing relationships more than past mistakes. If you've been holding on to anger or disappointment, ask yourself, is this helping me, or is it pushing people away? Because in the end, choosing to forgive and move forward doesn't just help keep others in your life, it helps you find more peace in your own. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on these 6 reasons. Do any of them sound familiar to you? If so, don't see this as criticism. See it as an opportunity. Because the truth is, loneliness in old age isn't inevitable. Many of the things that push people away can be changed. And when you start making small shifts, whether it's reaching out more, letting go of resentment, or choosing to stay open minded, you may find that people start coming back into your life. Attractiveness isn't just about looks, and relationships aren't just about time. They're about the energy you bring, the way you make others feel, and the effort you put in to stay connected. The good news: none of these qualities fade with age. If you continue to show interest in others, stay engaged with life, and approach relationships with kindness and understanding, you will always have people who want to be around you. So, instead of wondering why people leave, ask yourself, what can I do to make them want to stay? Because the power to build and maintain strong relationships is still in your hands. It's never too late to reconnect, to reach out, and to create a life filled with meaningful relationships. And the more effort you put into keeping the right people close, the more fulfilling your later years will be.